Amazing. But hello, everyone. Thank you so much again for coming in today. Welcome to Project Unity's very first external workshop series titled the Flex Your Mind series. And this is an exciting opportunity for us because this allows us to not only share our interests, share our passions with you guys, but to also give back to you guys and allow us to share our story and our passions as well. A little bit about this new up and coming workshop. The Flex Your Mind series is a student-led, recurring virtual workshop series with a whole vision of supporting you guys across the country as you navigate both academic and personal growth. Each month, we are hoping to focus on different topics with a single core mission in mind and helping you guys just break free from norms and academic pressures and everything like that and truly redefine what success really is. And all of us here truly believe that success isn't defined by metrics and rankings and prestige, but it's truly built on a life rooted in purpose, curiosity, and connection. And we really hope this series aims to build a culture where you guys can, no pun intended, flex your minds and achieve for impact, joy, and long-term fulfillment. Before we begin our topic of conversation today, we want to promote a little bit and talk about Project Unity for you guys a little bit. And so we are joined today by our two wonderful executive directors, Pranav and Morish. So I'll let them have the floor and let them let them know.
Everyone, I'm Pranav. I'm one of the executive directors of Project Unity, and it's like as Jaden mentioned, it's so beautiful to see faces all around the country joining us in today for one shared mission. And so many of you guys might have heard of Project Unity. For many of y'all, this is probably your first time ever hearing these two words together. And so we just want to give you a quick context of what is it that we do and what are the several other initiatives that you can continue to benefit from even after this event. And so. Long story short, Project Unity basically started off in 2020, about 5 years ago during the COVID-19 pandemic. We all knew that the United States was facing a very big public health crisis. There's a shortage of workers in public health, a shortage of supplies. Most people did not even know what public health was from professionals, let alone youth. And so a couple of college students, so we all got together and we recognized, okay, how can we work together to fix this from a grassroots youth level initiative? And so that's when we started Project Unity. And what we noticed is, okay, there's the way that healthcare in the world is going, there's three big areas in healthcare, right? Medicine, public health, and now AI and digital health, where we're hearing a lot of that happening in every other conversation, ChatGPT, so forth. And so we're like, the future of healthcare should have something that blends all three of those together. And that's what started Project Unity. And so that's our mission. We're a nonprofit. We started off as just three people, and now we're up to over 550 students all across the country, even overseas, even in Canada. And now we're even having partners all across the like international joining us. And what we're trying to do is really build the next generation of leaders like yourself joining the call so that you're equipped with the skills and knowledge to blend public health, medicine, and digital health for your community and to drive change through college and onwards. Um, Next slide, please. And so our approach, it's very simple. Youth. Everything is youth driven. You'll see if you look at our website, we have everyone from high school students to all the way up to medical students. All of us are coming together to design different solutions for communities. Everything is evidence based. We see so much people are just trying to create solutions, but what we try to do is we try to first work with the community and understand what are the problems, what are the needs, and from that we work with community stakeholders to design catered solutions. And we'll talk about all of our initiatives, but we're very evidence-based focused. And as we mentioned, interdisciplinary. Everything we do is blended with intentionality of blending medicine, public health, and AI and digital health. So yeah, who is our team? So as we mentioned, I'm Pranav. I'm the executive director, and then Morish, who's also another executive director, and Shirali, who's our head of creative. And then as you can see in our, we have directors from all across the United States leading very, very high impact initiatives that are scaling right now that you can all be involved with. Jaden's going to go ahead and send a link on how you can get involved to sign up. Um, Next slide. And our advisory board is very handcrafted for you, for individuals like you, if you want to learn from. We have individuals from all the way from Harvard, from U Chicago to the Texas Medical Center, from all different backgrounds. These are some of the top experts in the United States for digital health, medicine, and public health who drive forward each of our initiatives that we do to make sure they're evidence-based. And here are some of our partners. And so, yeah, before we kickstart our event, here's some of the initiatives that you can get involved in after this event. The first one is Catalyst Academy. Catalyst Academy is our first initiative that we started during the COVID-19 pandemic. And what it is high school students like yourself, you guys can work with high school students all across the United States and essentially create evidence-based solutions for your community. And so that involves things like first working with community stakeholders to understand, okay, is diabetes a really big problem in our area? And then creating your own research publication, which is extremely rare as a high school student to have. And then you get a chance to present that on a national level across healthcare experts across the United States. And if you look at the next slide, you'll see that there are different elements. You get to learn from, it's 8 weeks, and you get to learn from leading experts in digital health, medicine, environmental health, public health. There's professional leadership workshops. You're applying for college. It's important to know how to interview well. And so we make sure that each of the high school students are paired with graduate mentors, public health students from some of the top institutions, and they're going to be teaching you how to prepare yourself for professional presentations, interviews, and so forth. Public health in real life, where you get to learn how to present on some of today's most pressing topics. As we mentioned, present on the national stage, design community-focused solutions, and also you get a publication and a poster presentation, which is very valuable at this age for high school students. And then the next initiative is YFIC. And this is our newest initiative that we're launching that you should definitely keep an eye out for. What it is it's a nationwide incubator for high school students around the country who have nonprofits. A lot of times, high school students have really cool ideas and nonprofits. Like, hey, I have this solution I can create for the community. But a lot of times we don't have the or at least we didn't have it. We didn't have the education, the resources, the guidance, the knowledge, the skills to really scale it to the next level. And so we're designing a state-of-the-art incubator with the Common Health Coalition to help you with funding and knowledge to scale yours on like a national level. And so more information is going to come. Make sure to fill out the form in the chat and you'll get info on this. It's basically like Y Combinator if you've heard about it, but for nonprofits. And the last thing is AI Med Trailblazers. AI is everywhere. How can we get part of it? So if you look, what we designed is this thing where we bring in the world's leading experts from institutions like the White House, Google, Stanford, Harvard, Texas Medical Center to basically simplify AI education for people like us, high school students, college students, med students, and help us get the fundamental knowledge to drive change in this area. And so you'll see on the next slide we have so many different topics, wearable devices, ChatGPT, robotic surgery, medical imaging. And this is just the beginning. We're going to be doing more for environmental health. If there's any topic you're interested, we're going to keep doing it. It's all youth centered. If you look on the next slide, these are some of our like some topics that we've had: AI and robotic surgery with the vice chair of innovation from Duke. And then next slide, you'll see these are some of our institutions that we've had people with. Someone from the White House was talking about AI and ethics. Someone from Google was talking about wearable devices. And so there's so many opportunities that we want you guys to benefit from. So this is just a quick overview. But with that said, now we are super, super excited to get into the main reason you guys are here. And Jaden, I'll let you take over.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much,
that.
guys.
And like I said, I posted in the chat a link to subscribe to our email list for you guys to sign up for Project Unity, stay in the loop. And again, we're excited to hope and stay in contact with one of you guys. But let's get the show on the road, you know. Um, Obviously you're here to crack the college application, and I'm truly, truly honored to be joined by three of my amazing peers of mine at Project Unity. But before I let them introduce themselves, I just wanted to give you guys a couple of friendly reminders. Uh, you know, typical Zoom etiquette, please stay muted. But we would love to see your guys' faces. So if you guys are comfortable, we love to see your guys' face. Turn your camera on. stuff like that. If we will be having a Q&A session at the end of uh, my segment of things. So if you're open to turning on your mic during that Q&A session, please use the raise your hand feature, or you can even drop a question in the chat as it mentions below. But we hope you guys stay for the entire session, both for the Q&A session, but we also have an amazing treat for you guys at the end with some awesome resources for you guys to keep cracking at the college application. But overall, be present, ask questions, and let's have some fun. All right. So, like I was saying, I'm truly honored to be joined by three of my peers, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Ryan, would you like to go first?
Thanks, Jaden. I'm really happy to be here and have this conversation with you guys. My name is Ryan. I'm a rising junior at Georgetown University, studying healthcare management and policy. And I'm really open to whatever questions you guys have. So feel free to text me in the chat or raise your hand in the Zoom.
Ryan is our actually our director of our newest department at Project Unity, director of policy. So if you're any of you guys are interested in policy, uh, be on the lookout for that. Rotimi, would you like to go next?
Hey guys, I'm Rotimi. I'm a senior at UNC Chapel Hill, where I study health policy and management, originally from Hoover, Alabama. And here at Project Unity, I serve as one of the co-directors of the Youth Public Health Innovation Coalition, or YPIC, and we'll be having applications launching Monday.
Now, Rotimi, not to hype you up a little bit, man, but you are truly an amazing individual. But I think the coolest thing about yourself is that you're a two-time Jeopardy contestant. Would you like to talk more a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. Back in freshman year of high school, then sophomore year of college, I got to compete on Jeopardy under Alex Trebek and Ken Jennings. So both of those are super fun experiences, very nerdy, but met a lot of cool friends. Celebrated one of their birthdays last night, actually.
And lastly, Hargoon.
Well, it's a little rough going after Road to Me after he just talked about his Jeopardy two timing. So super cool, Road to Me. Thanks for sharing. But my name is Hargun. I am a rising junior at Carnegie Mellon, and I'm studying biology. I'm also minoring in business administration. I think I cut out there. I'm also minoring in business administration and biomedical engineering. I serve as a podcast lead at Project Unity, so I get to host really cool episodes with youth leaders and healthcare professionals. And you guys should definitely self-promo, but you guys should definitely listen if you're interested. And I'm really excited to answer all of your questions.
Amazing, Hargood. And a little bit about myself again. My name is Jaden, guys. I attend the University of Southern California. I'm on the pre-medicine track, studying health and human sciences, and I'll be entering my final semester at USC, so that's really exciting. And at Unity, I'm the director of internal affairs, so I work with you guys, host sessions like these, and make sure the vibes are high. Speaking of vibes, a little bit of what we're going to be talking about in our discussion today. We wanted to take a more unique approach to the college application process. And so we'll be talking more so of how to enhance your application, how to go about the application, and truly allow yourself to shine. So a couple of things we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about choosing the right colleges for you, application strategies, standing out, being authentic in your essays, activities, and just talking about yourself, truly writing with a sense of purpose and creating a support system and self-belief, creating ideas of self-belief for yourself. So with that being said, I'm gonna stop share so we can have a conversation with everybody. So I just want to get this ball rolling. Let's start here. Thinking back to your years in high school, I know it might seem a whole while back, but what was going through your mind when you first started your application journey?
Yeah, I can start. Basically, my goal was to go to school for free. So I was really looking for a lot of schools that had very generous financial aid packages, like schools that met 100% of full demonstrated need, or schools that had pretty cool merit scholarships. So that's probably the first thing going through my head was because college is expensive.
Or yeah,
And
along the
oh,
same,
sorry.
oh, sorry.
No worries,
Along
you
the
can go.
same, okay, sure. Along the same lines of what Rotimi said, like financially, it was a pretty good, big consideration since I'm planning to go to medical school after my undergraduate year. And so like that was also a big part of my decision making going into the process, as well as like I'm currently majoring in healthcare management policy, so I was looking for programs that were well suited for that as well.
So going off of what Ryan wrote to me said, those are two incredible points. As a pre-med student myself, I was also looking towards schools that either had connections to medical schools, were close to medical schools, just because I knew I wanted to pursue in that direction, and those were where my interests lied. But I will say that I'm so sorry, guys. I keep cutting out. I will say that it's very normal to feel anxious and not know where to start. So that's definitely great that you're here in this workshop to kind of walk through and talk through how you're feeling. I was definitely super overwhelmed and I needed a lot of help and resources to get me through this journey. I think another point to mention is that I was looking for schools that I really felt like I would fit in at. So I visited the schools directly and like kind of imagine myself if I would feel comfortable at the campus versus like just picking schools that I saw online that look pretty because I feel like every time you just go online, like they're gonna post the best pictures of themselves, and that's awesome. But I really do think you guys should visit and make sure that you feel like you're a best fit.
Yeah, Hargun, I want to, piggyback off of that more. What characteristics of a college, did you guys look for that made you have that, right fit when looking and creating your list?
I can go first if you guys don't mind. I think something important to me was demographic as well. I really wanted to see, I'm actually a Sikh Indian woman, and I really wanted to be around people who were more like me, to have clubs and to have communities that would serve me well. So, I was able to go to a school that has a really competitive Bhangra team. It's a Punjabi dance team. So which is super cool to see. I was able to be part of South Asian clubs. So these things are super important to me when picking a school and knowing that these perspectives and things would fulfill my interests in college aside from my academic pursuits as well.
Awesome. Rotimi, do you want to?
Sure, yeah. So I kind of had like a matrix in terms of just different criteria that I thought really like mattered to me. So like some things, one thing I already mentioned was the cost of the school. Another important question was, do they have what I want to study, majors? Another thing was like what sort of internship opportunities do students get? What do the post-grad placements look like for like the so for me, like I want to go to med school. So like how is the med school applicant success rate there and the resources there? And the other aspects were less tangible, like school fit and culture, thinking about diversity, like I wanted to see Black students, like distance from home. I think there are like 10 things told. I kind of just wrote down the notes app and I took notes about every school. And specifically, I bought this big book. I think it's called like the Fisk Book of Colleges or something, but it was like super thick and it had a list of almost every college in America. And I would just like flip through it for like a week and I just wrote down like 30 schools that seemed interesting. And then I just kind of like kept thinning it down until I found the ones I thought I wanted to apply to. And I'll pop to Ryan.
Thanks, Rotimi. For me, definitely being able to develop close faculty-student relationships was really important to me. Those faculty are going to be the same ones that will be writing my recommendation letters for internships, med school, grad school, whatever it may be. So finding a program where like faculty and students are able to easily converse instead of being in like huge lecture halls was really, really important to me. And for me, like the current institution I'm at was perfect for that since like I want to say all the professors in my major know like basically everyone in our program. And so it's really easy to ask for research opportunities, to even like grab a lunch or coffee just to like chat about like the class or like any research opportunities they can support you with.
Yeah. I'm gonna have my own take on this. I have a very unique story with all this. So when looking at the college, this is gonna sound really bad, but also really cool. I wanted to be a part of the marching band at whatever institution I applied to. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, so Ohio State is a huge marching band culture here in the state of Ohio. But I applied to the University of Southern California, and they're considered as Hollywood's band. And so when I applied there and got in, I knew I had to be a part of that culture and uh, ever since I never regret and some of the cool opportunities I've been a part of, like playing with Olivia Rodrigo, Megan Thee Stallion. those fun opportunities where I could not only be myself, express myself, but also have some fun. So thank you guys so much for, you know, talking about your guys' list. But I, I want to ask this question actually. The schools that you guys go to, I would consider prestigious. And, reflecting on this whole idea, is there any, myths or misconceptions that you guys want to debunk when applying to these selective schools that turned out to be entirely false? And we can start with Ryan, actually.
Yeah, thank you, Jaden. I think for me, I kind of realized after the application process that like a lot of people think that you want to appear as well-rounded as possible to all of these schools, and that's not necessarily true, especially if that means sacrificing your authenticity in the process. You really want to lean into your strengths and be able to play like this sort of like spike student where you have like a certain passion or like a love for a certain topic or combination of topics that maybe isn't as common to like other students. Like if you imagine how many people are trying to play the angle that they're well-rounded, it is very difficult for you to seem like a standout in that sense. And it's really beneficial to realize like what your personal strengths are and how you can manifest that in your application. And I think this applies to like most universities, not just like quote unquote prestigious ones.
Awesome. Rotimi, do you want to take a stab at this?
Yeah, and so like for more context, back in high school, I applied to 15 universities and got into all of them. So that includes like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Duke, Vanderbilt, UNC, Auburn, etc. And I think something that I got a lot of perspective on during the process and after and making friends at a lot of these places was the fact that the college application process isn't about anybody but you. I think that's a common misconception. I think a lot of people will talk about like, oh, there's other people from my school applying to the same school I am, or like, oh, like I don't know, I live in this state, but really like at the end of the day, a school that's like prestigious or whatever, they're gonna have thousands of valedictorians applying, or like the senior class presidents and captains. So it's really like you might be a big fish in your pond in that sense, but it's not your focus shouldn't necessarily be on like how do you compare to other people. It's really about like what do you bring that's unique? Who are you as a person? What sets you apart? And so I really think like taking time to just be introspective and focusing in on yourself is so important. And it often like it can be kind of under overshadowed in the application process when people start talking about like how other people quote unquote affect their own application.
I can continue on. Yes, I just want to bounce off of what Ryan wrote to me were saying. I think one of the most important things that I did throughout my application process, which led me to the successes that I was able to get at, was really honing in on my personality. I think beyond the academic pursuits that you have on paper, obviously these things, you know that a zero point 0.1 GPA difference is not really going to make or break your application. Even like a lower GPA than somebody next to you is not going to make or break your application. I do truly believe that colleges want to see you as the person that you are contributing to their community. So one thing that I did was super important. I looked at the schools that I was really, really interested in and looked at what their kind of ideals were. So at Carnegie Mellon, we have an ideal and a very commonly used phrase. It's called "My heart is in the work." And this phrase I really talked about in some of my I see Jaden smiling over there. I talked about some of these ideals in my supplements. So I did hone in on what that meant to me and how I would contribute to the school community and how I would essentially prove that ideal of my heart is in the work. And I really do think that it's so important to be like a normal person. And even in your interviews, 100% I will say I had an interview with a Columbia interviewer for 2 hours. It like went on for so long because we just could not stop talking about things that he was interested in. And he never once asked me about like, hi, like, what about your school position as the blah, like, you know what I mean? They really want to know about certain fun things about you and how different you are as a person and what you would contribute to their school community. So I would say don't stress about the grades and the statistics that you have because the student that you are is built off of all of your experiences that you've had until now. And that's what you have to showcase, and that's amazing. But really, you should focus on what makes you you as an individual and showcase that now through your application.
Amazing, guys. I want to, continue this conversation about personality, but Ryan, you put the perfect word to it, authenticity. And so thinking about when you're writing that personal statement, writing those activities for you guys, how did you discover what actually mattered to you, what you were passionate about, or even what kind of message that you were trying to convey before writing your guys' essays? And we can start with Row to Me.
Yeah, I think for me, again, it was bouncing off what Harden just shared, trying to think about my personality. And so like I had to just take time and think about zooming out, what do I want to use college for? Because, there's a quote where it's like sometimes the ends justify the means, but I like to repurpose that quote into like, what is your end? I think college is never the end goal. Like, ideally you would keep living on after those 4 or so years. And so it's like, why do you want to go to college? Like, what issues do you want to solve in society or in the world? Like, what impact do you want to make? And so I think starting there and working backwards was something helpful for me to think about how to articulate why I wanted to study what I wanted to study and why I wanted to go to certain colleges. But then in terms of like my personal statement and things, I thought about why I wanted to show. Because in your application, you get 10 in the Common App, you get like 10 activities or something, and like little one-liners, you have your recommendation letters, but it's like they already so they're seeing your resume, but it's like, how can you use your personal statement to show something that maybe they won't get, something that's unique, that's gonna flesh you out basically because you don't get the chance to talk to you. They're reading your application for 2 minutes and they throw you in a pile. So it's like, how can you really take advantage of that? And so for me, I was like, I want to highlight my curiosity. I want to highlight my persistence. I want to highlight like my humor. And so thinking about that, I was like, what anecdotes can I reflect on? And then really just taking the time to show a lot of detail. People say show, don't tell. I was trying to be very introspective in my writing, and I think I did a good job of that.
Ryan, any thoughts?
I think Road to Me covered a lot of the points that I wanted to make, and they were great points. I think for me, like when I started writing my personal statements, I really sat down and thought about like what values do I hold central to myself and which of those values can I portray in my personal statements, my supplements through personal anecdotes and stories. And like a lot of people might have trouble getting started on this because, there's just been so much stuff that has happened in your like 18 years of life. But like something that will help with this is sort of like for me, I started like looking through my camera roll and like I would ask my parents like, oh, like, do you have any like stories that I might be like missing here? And we just created like this huge list to sort through. And I'd say that that's like a pretty good way to start if you are having trouble starting with that.
Hargun, I got a question for you actually. There's this whole idea of creating an essay that's deep and reflective, but it can almost be sometimes too reflective, and you have to almost trauma dump in order to get into these big universities, stuff like that. And I would love to get your thoughts on that. Do you really have to trauma dump in order to get into these universities?
Jaden, I'm so sorry about my phone. I think that's a great question. I think it's something that I also struggled with when I was writing, wondering about where is the definite line between like me telling a story versus me not explaining anything about myself and just trauma dumping. I think one of the most important things that you can do is write about something that evokes emotion. That's something that I did. It's really something that you're able to write about for so long. And in your first draft of your personal statement, you shouldn't restrict yourself and be like, okay, I need like the character limit and I'm just going to stay within that limit and write about this story. I think you should continue to write an entire statement, a rough draft of something that evokes emotion. And where the trauma dumping happens, let it happen. And then go back in that draft and think about how that trauma dumping led you to become the person that you are right now and what things you changed, what things that really affected you to get out of that idea and not focus on that trauma. So this was something really important that I did talk about. I would honestly be open to if anybody has any questions later on about what specifically I wrote about, but I did talk about a super sensitive topic. I actually talked about gender inequality in India, where you're not able to find out the gender of birth prior to giving birth because a lot of people have a stigma that if you're birthing a child that's a girl, it's not considered to be respectable or whatever the terminology is. So this is something that was really, really important to me as an Indian woman growing up and being very strong-willed and So I do believe that it's important to talk a little bit about your background of the quote unquote trauma, but it's more important to talk about how that changed you and what it means to you specifically and how that affected your trajectory and what you chose to do with your undergraduate or sorry, your high school career going into your undergraduate career. So really hone in on how that changed you, essentially.
Throw it to me, Ryan. Any thoughts with that?
Yeah, I mean, generally, I'm not like a huge fan of the trauma essay just because most of the time it's not very well done. If you're interested in learning more, the Yale Admissions Committee has a podcast. Um, I forget what it's called, but they talk about this for like 30 minutes. So I'd recommend listening to that. But basically, like if you can talk about challenges without having to be like you just have to talk about what you got out of it. You know, they're not really looking to hear a sob story per se. They mostly want to know, like, again, who you are as a person, what motivates you. So it's like if that's important context for your life, you can share it, but that shouldn't be the focus of your essay per se, but more so like how you grew from it, how you adapted to it, how you addressed it, you know. Additionally, you don't want to write about things that like are happening to other people, not you. Like you don't want to really write about like your grandma dying. Because again, like they're like learning about your grandma, but it's like, okay, but you only have 650 words. Like we still don't know anything about you. And then lastly, I'd say like generally it depends on how you approach it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that for your personal statement. I think it depends on the school, but some schools might have supplements that are more like attuned towards that. So they might be like talk about a challenge you face. So everybody brings different like aspects of their identity or whatever to the table. Like how did that affect you? Like I think that's a really good space in particular to talk about stuff like that and how you got out or what you got out of it. And then additionally, if it's something that just like significantly impacted your ability to perform well in school or whatever, and you need to like provide that context, like your essay is not the place to do that. There's a place on the common application where it's like if you have, I forget what it's called because it's been like 4 years, where it's like if you have any like meaningful things you need to share with the admissions committee, like do that in that space. So that's why I would write that stuff. And then you can also have your guidance counselor like reaffirm that in their letter as well for your school letter. But yeah.
Ryan, any last thoughts?
No, I think Rotimi and Hargan covered it beautifully.
Yeah. So I got a question for you, Ryan, actually. Let's focus more so on, tackling this application. Were there any specific strategies with that you took in keeping deadlines, keeping up with supplements and essays and uh, all the chaos that happens during the application season?
Right, yeah, that's a great question. And it can definitely seem overwhelming, especially since like a lot of kids are applying to like 10, 15 schools and like there's like ED, EA, RD, mix of deadlines there. Me personally, I used an app called Notion. Some of you may have heard it before, but I had this huge spreadsheet on Notion where like I would set reminders to my phone and my like laptop desktop for deadlines approaching up to like a week in advance. And I would also denote like, is this college like ED, RD, EA, which deadline am I applying for? How many supplements? How many recommendations? It was this massive spreadsheet. And that's honestly how I still keep track of my applications today, like whether I'm applying for like research experiences or like eventually medical school, like that's definitely a strategy that has pulled me through.
Definitely have to hop on that train as well. Wrote to me, arguing any strategies that you guys took.
I had a spreadsheet, like a Google Sheets, and the columns were just like school name, regular decision deadline, early action deadline, number of essays required, like scholarship deadline, and then like a link. It was simple, but it helped me a lot.
Yeah, honestly, I just had a simple spreadsheet. I think what Ryan did was super cool. Maybe I have to hop on that app as well. I'm a little bit disorganized with my internship application, so I may need to use that.
Yeah, 100% feel you guys on that. Um, I want to touch on, support circles. And I know this whole application process might feel alone, but did you guys feel alone? And what support systems did you guys have in order to get through this? And Roachman, you can start it us off.
I mean, honestly, like my high school, so I went to the largest high school in Alabama. So we had like 2,800 students. We had one guidance counselor. So like we didn't really get a lot of like professional feedback, but the way I like compensated for that was I would get advice from like friends, or I had a few older friends who were in college, so I asked them to read like some of my essays sometimes. I was really resourceful. I mean, I would go and like just like read guides online. As I mentioned earlier, like the Yale Admissions podcast. Like there's so much awesome free information on TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, like podcasts. If you can like figure out how to sort like what's kind of trash from what's valuable. But like yeah, so I think I relied a lot on external resources. And in terms of the emotional stuff, I feel like I didn't really like feel very emotionally drained by it. Like it was like tiring for sure, but it was super exciting. I was just very excited for like the opportunities that would come with it. I saw the application process as more of an investment than a chore or a burden.
Uh, Not to sound egotistical or anything, but I absolutely love talking about myself. And so I had a huge enjoyment in, writing about myself and taking the time to reflect. And it you do feel a sense of nostalgia and allowing not only to share that with the colleges that you're applying to, but also to your friends. It really connects all of you guys. You know to enjoy that final last ride in senior year. And I do think that's why senior year is so emotional for some people. It's a wonderful time of reflection. Ryan, Hargoon, any thoughts from you guys?
I'd say in terms of like support systems, my high school classmates helped me a lot. We had a pretty small class size. No one was really like cutthroat competitive or like toxic in that sense. Um, a lot of the faculty at my high school as well helped me through it, and obviously like my parents, my family.
A little bit different from what Rotimi said. I actually had a huge emotional toll from the college application process, and my process was not very linear. I only initially applied to 8 schools. I applied EA and ED to a couple of schools, and I got into a couple EAs, but I didn't actually get into my ED one, and it crushed me. Like it was a very big moment of me feeling like and while this is not true at all, in the moment that I felt like I'd failed myself. And it was really, really hard for me to get back up from there. And I also did not get into my ED2. So these are super like cutthroat moments for me to really look back and be like, what can I do to change the way I feel? And for me at that point, it wasn't like you're not changing your application. Like my application is written, I'm just going to apply to more schools and blah, blah, blah. So I did apply to a lot more schools. I applied to a lot RD and I did get into Carnegie Mellon RD. But I did want to mention that one of the most important things throughout this process is to recognize that you are going to end up where you need to. Like, and education is education at the end of the day. Although I fit the stats for the schools that I applied to, and although I did feel that my application was very competitive, I didn't get into schools that I thought that I was going to get into, and that's totally okay. And I got into schools that I also didn't think I was going to get into, so that's also totally okay. And I think one of the most important things to do when you're feeling this heightened amount of emotion is to like take a step back and do things that bring you peace. Like go for a walk, talk to your parents and family, talk to friends, watch a movie. You can't really stress about something that you have no control over. So once you submit that application, you submit it, you breathe, and you just trust yourself that you're going to end up in the right place.
Amazing, guys. And just this is kind of a two-part question. The first part is any cool stories for you guys when you guys got accepted? What was that feeling like? And just to manifest the energy for these up and coming applicants. Ryan, would you like to go first?
Sure, yeah. So I don't know if a lot of people probably might not know this, but like Georgetown will send you a letter when you get in, as well as like update it in your portal. And so I remember the day so clear. Like I was at a tennis game and my parents got the letter in the mail before they updated the portal with a decision. And so they thought I already knew about it, and they called me super casually, being like, "Oh, wait, like, I'm sure you already know about this, but like, congratulations on Georgetown." And I was like really confused because I knew it wasn't supposed to come until later. And like, I assumed the letter would arrive later in the mail than like the application status would be posted. So that was like an insane moment for me. I had some other unexpected ones, but like, a lot of the times where I would like sit down and like start to like pull up the application portal, it would literally feel like my chest was going to explode. Like I would sit there and be like, this like it could like change so many things. But then like looking back on it, like I should have like enjoyed more of the process. And like while I think it's like a pretty normal thing to feel like this like feeling of like everything going to change, like it's important to remember that like throughout the process, you're not only learning so much about like how to go through an application process as complex as this one, and that'll eventually prepare you for like maybe graduate school applications or like whatever else you may be applying to. Um, you're also just learning a lot about yourself as well.
to me, Hargun.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was like super anxious whenever the Portal decision would come out, or like the night before. But I also think I was a little bit of an outlier. I had a video go viral on TikTok. It got like 800,000 views because I recorded all my reactions, and the answer was like I had no reactions. Like I'd just be like, oh, nice. Because I really did try, honestly, like because I understand like it can be a very consuming process. Like above everything, like I tried my best intentionally and like not put too much weight in any one thing because it's just like it's all gonna work out. But I did. I think after I would recommend just apply to one school where you know you're gonna get in and you get an easy win. Because again, like the only like honestly bad outcome is like you can't go to school the next year because you didn't get anywhere. So like get that easy win. And for me, this wasn't an easy win, but the first school I heard back from was my early action, which was Yale. But like once I got in there, it was kind of like, like if other things don't work out, I got into a school that I like. But honestly, like the school again, like the decision didn't really matter. Those didn't matter too much to me. It was more so like what came after. So like I made so many friends at schools that like I didn't even end up going to just because like it's so cool. Like I was from like, like a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama, and all of a sudden I had like these friends online from New York and Turkey and California and Texas. And it's such a cool experience to get to connect with like people that you feel like are really like you and like feel that fit. And so yeah, I think like it just opens so many doors. So I definitely recommend you as well to like look forward to making friends, like join the group chats and like talk to people because it really is just like such a cool benefit of the process.
Oh, that's awesome. I only have like one story really. I was also super anxious opening any applications, by the way. I'm a very emotional person. I think I just had heightened emotions during this time period, but this was super funny. I actually woke up from a nap, and just like saw that I like checked my email and I got in and I couldn't even like say like what was happening because like my entire family was just sitting downstairs and I was just screaming. Like I was just screaming in my room like and they were like, "What is wrong with her?" So I just like go downstairs, like running around the house, I'm like, "I got it, I got it, I got it." And like they were just like, "Okay, like that's like we knew like you're gonna be fine. Like don't worry, like awesome, whatever." But I think the first acceptance is really fun because you're like, oh yay, like I'm going to college, at least. So that's really exciting. But I will emphasize that you guys are gonna be totally fine and you'll end up where you need to. So yes.
I'll share my college acceptance story real quick. So, um, I um I was on a bus ride to Disney World with my friends going to the band, and we made a pit stop at McDonald's. And at McDonald's, I received the email notification that I that there was an update in my application portal. And so, like a like a doofus I am, I decided to open this up in the McDonald's, and lo and behold, I got into USC, and the whole McDonald's went crazy, and I got a Shamrock Shake after. So we really hope this is for you guys. And before I open the floor for Q&A from the audience, I just want just final quick takes from you guys. Any last piece of advice, to someone that thinks eh, this college decision is almost what determines their future, what determines their entire life. What would you say to your high school self?
That's a big, deep question. But I can start. I mean, basically, again, it's like the place that you're in at the end of the day, like it can shape those 4 years of your life, but like the outcome of your life is always so much more dependent on you than where you're going, right? It's not like where you are, but how you take advantage of where you are and what you're doing. So, like again, try not to put too much weight into things that like don't really matter for any real reasons, and make sure that you just remember what drives you and what fulfills you, and you find ways to seek that out and pursue it meaningfully, and you'll do great.
Ryan, how are you?
So for me, like coming out of sort of what like Rotimi was saying, where there's a will, there's a way. It's so dependent on like how you are able to use like the resources available to you. And I remember like when I was committing to Georgetown, I was a bit concerned about like what sort of support there would be for like pre-medical students like on campus or whatnot. And like in hindsight, this wasn't really a concern that should have taken up that much of like my mental space because like again, like DC is a huge city. There's so many hospitals, so many opportunities, and like it's up to you to be able to seek them out. So like don't put too much pressure on yourself. Obviously, like put your best foot forward, try your best. Um, Try not to have any regrets. By just like trying your best. But like at the end of the day, it's up to you, like what you make of the experience and what you make of where you end up.
Yeah, just bouncing off of what Rotimi said earlier, I just want to emphasize college is not the end. There is so much of life left after that. There are so many things that people do. There's so many trajectories that people take, non-traditional paths, graduate school, etc. And I do want to mention that there are so many students that I know that work super hard in high school and they get into the college of their dreams. And then, they don't end up working super hard in college and they kind of fall short or they just kind of lose sight of that because they're either burnt out or they just don't have the motivation to keep going. And there's so many students that maybe don't go to school that they really wanted to go to, but it's not where you are, it's what you make of it. So I really want to emphasize that point.
Amazing, guys. Thank you so much again for all of your guys' thoughts. And I just now is the time to open the floor for questions. Like I was mentioning, you're free to drop them in the chat and we'll pick them. Whatever you guys say, you're also free to use the raise your hand icon to unmute yourself and ask away. So the floor is open to the audience. Oops. Violet, go ahead.
Okay, hi guys. Thank you so much. It was an amazing presentation. I think this is so different. Like I've never really like went to kind of like a webinar, like a presentation about something really specific like this, or at least this is my first one personally. And I just want to say like Catalyst Academy is so great. Like I'm currently in there right now. I actually really enjoy it because it's like the first program that I've been where I actually met people from like all over the world, all over the nation. It's just so great. So I just want to say thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job. So I actually have two questions if that's okay with you guys. Um, so my first question is like, how did you guys choose the activities that you guys wanted to write about? And I guess I can kind of tie in with your personal statement or like comment app kind of. And what really told you that like the school that you went to like was the one? Like I guess kind of maybe throughout your freshman year of undergraduate or just like why you guys were choosing. So yeah, thank you so much.
Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I can start. So basically, to answer your first question about like activities, I mean, I recommend writing about any activity that changed you, that made an impact on you, right? So it's like I wrote about research I did because it taught me how much I love biology. I wrote about a tutoring program I did because the why of why I did it was really important to me, meaningful to me. So I think whatever, like either, yeah, something that you did because of a deeper why that really resonates out with your story and who you are like outside of that as a broader person, and then things that you did that had a really meaningful impact on the way you think or your values or like your future interests. I think they're looking for stories, not a resume. So wherever you can find stories. And then the other thing I would say to answer your second question, actually, I already forgot what your second question was. Can you remind me briefly?
Oh, no worries, no worries. It's basically like, how did you know that the school you chose was the
Oh,
one?
yes. Basically, I mean, the first thing for me is like I want to go somewhere that's not going to bankrupt me. And then the second thing was like a place where I think I would be happy. Because at the end of the day, again, like schools are what you make of them. And I think like if you're at a place where like you feel like you're going to be miserable for 4 years and like you're not going to do well compared to a place where you feel like you're going to be happy. So I visited, I met with students. I confirmed that they had like all the basic things I needed to like be successful. And once I narrowed down from there, I was like, I think this is a place where I felt most like myself.
Uh, let's do it. Neil, you're next, and we'll have Hargoon answer your question.
All right, thank you. So this question is more about the personal essay as a whole and just, starting out and doing your actual first drafts. Did you like have a running list of ideas that you kind of developed differently or was it more like you had one sort of main thing that you like they revised multiple times, or was it just like an idea that popped into your head randomly and you just kind of went through the whole way and managed to finish it like that? Just curious.
So first, I want to say hi, Neil. I want to tell everyone that Neil is one of my little brother's best friends, and I'm really excited to have Neil on this call. I'm gonna yell at my brother for not joining this call, but no worries. Neil, thank you for your question. I do think, in terms of personal statement, I do think that I developed a list of couple ideas beforehand and definitely revised through those ideas to figure out what I could essentially write a lot about and what I could connect to everything else that I did as well. Because I did in the personal statement, as Rotimi mentioned, you don't just want to dump a story about somebody else or just an experience. You kind of want to talk about how that experience changed you and how you grew from that experience. So it's important to like talk about something that will easily allow you to talk about the other things that you did. So and like segue between those things. I will say that I had a lot of people read through my essay ideas and kind of help me figure out what would be best for me. And like they knew me as a person, kind of like maybe not super objective. If you don't want to ask your parents, that's totally fine. Like maybe you can ask a school guidance counselor. They can be super helpful in this process. You can ask somebody, another older member, somebody who's gone through the college applications process as well. I'm sure a lot of people would be willing to help, but really choose something that you know you can write a lot about and speak a lot about as well.
Amazing. And last but not least, is it Smrithi?
That is. First of all, yeah, thank you so much to everyone. I really liked how you guys all bounced back on your experiences. My question was regarding like scholarships and like tips on like attaining them, but also when do you think is like the right time to start working towards those and finding the right ones for you?
Ryan wrote to me if you, Hargun, if you, any of you guys want to tackle this.
I personally started working towards them probably like after winter break. A lot of scholarships will open their applications like around like January, February, and then get back to you in like April or May. So that was like sort of my timeline. But wrote to me, I know you probably have like a lot more experience applying to scholarships than I do. So if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean it's like kind of fragmented across the internet, but I read a bunch of Reddit threads for like universities that had merit scholarships, and I just read about those on their websites. But it was like super hard, so I just dropped a link in the chat. And so like this over this past winter break, I made a website of like merit scholarships that are available at like a bunch of schools across the country. So I'd recommend taking a look through that. And then outside of those, like just external scholarships, you can go to like scholarships.org. There's like a lot of big ones. If you type like you just go on their websites. The one thing I'll warn you though about is like sometimes getting external scholarships can reduce your financial aid packages at school. That's called aid displacement. So that's why for me, like it was really important to focus on getting like scholarships directly from the university itself. So that's just something to keep in mind that people don't really tell you.
I see. Thank you so much.
Ryan wrote to me, Hargood, thank you all again so much for taking the time out of your guys' day to talk to these kids and share your guys' insights and everything like that. Um, as a little treat for everybody that attended this session in full, and I know there's a recording going on, we have provided our contacts for you guys. You're free to connect with us over email if you guys have any further questions or concerns about the college application process. So we'd be more than happy to help you guys out. You're also welcome to free to connect with us over LinkedIn. Feel free to just take a picture and look us up on LinkedIn later on. Uh, but with all that being said, thank you so much again, guys, for being a part of this workshop series today. Hopefully, we'll be hosting more of these college application workshops later on as we get more deeper into the college application season. But in the meantime, if you want to stay in the loop with everything that's going on, please follow us on Instagram. You're free to email us at info@projectunitynfp.org, and you can also check us out on our website. And if you haven't already, as I did it at the beginning, feel free to scan the QR code to sign up for our email list to stay in the loop of everything. Um, but with all that being said, I have a post survey for everybody. Uh, you're free to fill this out now. Give us your thoughts on how today's event went. But overall, take your time with that. That can be completed afterwards. Thank you so much again for everyone for attending. And I like to end all events with this quote. It's be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might change their life. We're all in this together. So again, thank you so much again, guys, for staying with us. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, Jaden, I just opened the feedback form and I think it's an editor mode, at least for me.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Like that too. Oh, okay, okay, great.
And we'll post this link for you guys uh, in the post email that we sent. So sorry about that. Okay, let me know if that works. Uh, but again, like I said, you're free to click on that, see if that works, and you guys are free to go. Thank you so much again, guys. And panelists, if you guys can stay over for a quick minute, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, it works. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoyed hearing from you guys all. Have a great day. Bye.
Amazing. Thank you so much again, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.